Louie Schwartzberg, you're a cinematographer renowned for your time-lapse technique and deep messages, whose career and film have inspired millions of viewers. You're the director of Fantastic Fungi and released your new movie, Gratitudes. I wanted to know, after Fantastic Fungi, how did the idea emerge of making a movie about gratitude?
That's a great question. Well, part of it was practical because during COVID, I wasn't able to go out and travel and film. And I'd been working on this idea about gratitude for 15 years. I actually did a TED Talk on gratitude back in around 2014. And YouTube, I think, just started, but what I didn't realize that they would put it on YouTube because it was really what I made was a trailer for the movie. And I didn't want to go public, but it went public. Okay. But then eventually it went viral and it got almost like 20 million views. So I figured, wow, there's something there. And so over the course of 15 years, off and on between projects, I've been shooting stories and interviews with people that are either famous, thought leaders, or also just remarkable but ordinary people. And so during that period of COVID, I went into my library and I finally put together, the expanded version of what I've always wanted to do was to make a film about gratitude. I'd heard a talk by Brother David Steindl-Rast. He's an Austrian Jesuit priest. And those words really inspired me. And I learned to use gratitude as a practice every time I feel bad. And so I put that short together, and then the short now has become a movie. But here's something that's kind of special. It's only after I made the movie that I really realized the connection between Fantastic Fungi and gratitude. The connection is similar to when people go on psychedelic journeys. They have this incredible journey of learning about nature's wisdom, a personal aha moment. But then it doesn't mean anything unless you learn how to integrate it. So it's the next day you do the integration. How do you take that wisdom, whatever insight did you learn for yourself, and bring it to your relationships, bring it to your family, bring it to your workplace, bring it to your community, bring it to the world. So Fantastic Fungi was a journey beneath the soil to learn about this beautiful mycelial network, a shared economy where ecosystems flourish without greed, for life to flourish. Gratitude Revealed is a journey into the human soul, because you need to be able to take that wisdom from nature and figure out how to use it in your life.
This is beautiful. How did you apprehend making a movie about a concept after making a movie about something so earthy as mushrooms?
Well, basically, I make films that celebrate life. So whether it's nature or people, it's really the same thing because we are nature, right?
Okay.
And so there really is no difference in the way I look at things. I mean, I love to tell stories about plants that are resilient, people that are resilient. Yeah. I love to tell stories about people who overcome adversity but have hope and joy, because my parents were Holocaust survivors, and what I learned from them was that they had a lot of love and joy in their life. I mean, the lessons I think you learn from situations like the Holocaust is from ashes comes rebirth. They knew each other for 2 weeks before they decided to get married. The first thing they wanted to do was have children. It wasn't about retribution. It wasn't about revenge. It was about how do we create a new life. And you see that in nature all the time. There can be a fire, and you see the little baby grasses grow, and then the bushes and the forest. Life wants to reemerge. And that's the story that I love to tell.
You say, thanks to your parents, you have the resilience gene in you. That's why you're so attached to nature, because nature and you are resilient?
I think that's true. If you think about the fact that, my parents were from Poland. 1 out of 10 Jews survived after that. So in a way, I think the DNA I have is resilient. But also I'm learning recently about intergenerational trauma and the fact that, it's easy to carry these feelings of victimhood. I have a sister who passed away a couple of years ago, but her life was ruined by feeling like a victim. It was probably harder for her because she was a woman, but she was never able to She identified so strongly with my parents that she always took on the idea of being a victim. And I've learned recently that no matter how unjust something is, if you see yourself as a victim, you're hurting yourself, even when it's justified. Because, right, you're just living in misery and living in pain. You have to be able at some point to let go. And gratitude is one of the ways to do that, actually, because you look at what can I be grateful for? Yes, somebody said something bad to me. Yes, somebody crashed into my car. Whatever shit happens in your life, stuff happens. But if you have a way to be resilient, to be able to bounce back, gratitude is one way. So what can I be grateful for? Well, guess what? My fingers move. I can breathe. I'm looking at a beautiful woman. There's something I can figure out that I can turn that switch off of thinking negatively, and I try to think positively. And that helps you stop that rumination, that thing that goes on in your head over and over in a circle. And the more you think negatively, the more it becomes ingrained in your brain. So being able to shift is a baby step. It's not the answer for every problem, but it's a baby step I think you can take to go in the right direction.
So you're making the conscious choice of being optimistic?
Yes.
Are you? You are deeply optimistic, but by choice, not by nature. Yeah.
I think that even if you're not naturally optimistic, it's the only choice there is. I mean, you can't give up, Think about this. If we're both in a boat and water is coming into the boat and we're like 100 meters from shore, the pessimist is going to say, we're going to drown. We're in trouble. An optimist might say, you know what? I think we can swim. I think we can make it. Who do you want to be with? What choice are you going to make? Yeah. Are you going to say we're screwed and we're going to die? Or are you going to say, I'm going to go for it? We're hardwired, I guess, to survive, right? And so you might as well be an optimist. And I think life is about optimism. I mean, my God, every story you see about nature, every time I see a little piece of grass growing in the sidewalk, in a crack, there you go, right? I mean, look at this plant right here. I hope it's real.
It's real. It's a real one.
I mean, the stamina it takes to grow in this little pot inside of this hotel, I admire that. It gives me inspiration, right? So how can I not be an optimist? Because every cell in my body is similar to every cell inside that plant.
What are the reactions you get after showing your movie to people?
Which one, gratitude or fungi?
Gratitude.
For gratitude? Well, people say they laughed and they cried a lot.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's good. I feel that the film doesn't tell you like how to live your life. It's not preachy. But when you see examples of other people that are extraordinary, who have overcome adversity, it touches something deep inside of you. And it forces you to make a connection or a context. Like, what can I learn from that? How can I integrate that into my life? And a lot of times we're so disconnected from our inner voice, our inner soul, that it triggers that connection. And that sometimes makes you cry because it's like a homecoming. So it's like the feeling you get when you've been traveling and you finally come home to your own bed. You get this like home warm feeling. You almost cry for joy to be home. Yeah. I think sometimes we miss being inside of ourselves.
Yeah. Do you have a special scene in the movie that really touched you when you filmed it?
Oh boy. Well, they're all magic moments. The one with the Appalachian Woman, she's like weaving a big rug.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how she works in Rose back and forth, and her, Albert out in the window, it goes back and forth. And she talks about how that's her form of meditation. It's so spiritual because she's like this earth mama, but she's like an Appalachian earth mama. She's not a new age earth mama. She's like a, pioneer from Kentucky, right? And she just inspired me so much, and she was able to make such a beautiful poetic statement while she was just like working and connecting the inside to the outside.
Beautiful. I was also touched by the person who says, like, what were the chances in the cosmos that I was chosen? I win the lottery ticket to be on Earth, and
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
really found so much joy, and it was very deep.
That's a good one too, Alex Gray.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you not be grateful? You got a ticket from the lottery. You got a ticket to come to the party,
Yes.
to be alive, to be here, to be born. You got
Yeah.
a ticket. Like, how could you not be grateful for that? How can you not be happy about that? It's a wonderful way of looking at it, because what a gift it is to be alive.
Yeah.
Don't take that for granted, you know?
Yes.
And the fact that every day you wake up and you're alive, don't take that for granted. We all know things can change, right? It's only when things go bad that you become grateful, or you realize that you didn't appreciate the things that you have, like the pandemic, for example.
Yeah.
We couldn't have dinner with your friends and family. We took that for granted. Your health, we take that for granted until you get sick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are the most important things in your life, and when it's gone, that's when you realize how important it is.
You said it was not easy to release a movie about mushrooms.
Right.
After the success of Fantastic Fungi, was it easier this time?
It's easier because I'm distributing it myself, and I never had done that before until Fantastic Fungi. And so I haven't tried to go to a distributor because, to be honest, I know it's a hard sell. Who wants to, in Hollywood or in entertainment, show a film that's about people saying what they're passionate about and how to have joy in their life? Because most films are about conflict, are about violence, about revenge, about fear, because the current model is they know that sells tickets and that makes money. So I've decided I don't want to, go down that path anymore. Why fight the resistance? How about I throw my own party? If I'm not invited to that party, I'll do my own party, right? And the value of that in today's technology and today's world is I'm able to build my own community. I'm able to, I don't need to have like 100 million people see the movie. I can have a small community, and then it grows virally, because the only way anything does become popular today is viral and social media. It's the same thing that the studios use. The big budget movies will spend a lot of money on advertising, but if they don't have good word of mouth, they're dead, right?
Yeah.
So why not just go for the word of mouth from a small group of people that can then talk to a larger group of people? It's what Harvest is about.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of people here that are, influencers in a way, and they're going to spread that word. They're change agents. That's the way I think it works in today's world.
And your freedom is, sorry to ask, financially viable?
Well, yes and no. The good news is, with Gratitude Revealed, is I made it little by little over the course of 15, 20 years. And I had a lot of the beautiful nature stuff in my library. So it didn't cost me a lot of money. But I feel that, again, the same thing. If you're going to take the risk and use social media, for example, to promote the movie, and you're willing to do it organically, you do it a little bit at a time, you don't need to have a lot of money, which is the old-fashioned model of putting out any kind of a product, especially a movie, like Hollywood does, because if it's $100 million to make, they need $100 million to market it, And I think that's a failed system that will eventually continue to collapse.
We are destroying a lot of nature right now, chopping trees, building, polluting. Does it make you sad sometimes? And is it your way to fight against this, making movies? Even if you're an optimistic.
Yeah, I feel that looking into degradation, the environmental degradation, is something that I want to fight against. And it does give me energy and makes me want to, inspires me to do something. But I don't want to have that make me feel despair.
Yeah.
Or, and I think that's been the problem, to be honest, with the environmental movement and the messaging. We put the science in front of people. Oh, the ice cap is melting. We're losing all these species, and people become depressed about all of that. What we need to do, I believe, is to open people's hearts by, turning them on to the beauty of nature, and that will change their behavior. For example, I know you got this paper in your hand. If I told you that you have to recycle, that's not going to work. But if you love trees, it's hard for you to throw away that piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
And so we can't just give this the stats of like how many trees are being cut down and how much the forest is being cut down. We have to, I think, have a different form of messaging. I mean, I'm a filmmaker, so I'm more aware of the messaging, and I'm aware of how I can use my imagery to shift consciousness. And when you shift consciousness, you shift behavior. I mean, look at Earth Day. Happened. It was the biggest global event, protest, celebration of people, millions of people in the street in 1970. It's more than 50 years. Why haven't we changed? We talked about renewable energy. We talked about recycling. We talked about pesticides. We haven't changed. So it's an example of how we need to have a different approach to communicating the environmental degradation. I think you have to be a warrior. I think you have to fight, but we have to do it in a different way.
You're helping the young ones to see the beauty of nature. I was very interested in this initiative. Yeah. You shared with us some videos about animals or nature living together and collaborating. Are animals and videos two good tools to remind important values to children who are exposed to so much digital violence today? Absolutely.
I mean, if you're a teenager today, think about the fact that, look, we all had peer pressure growing up, right?
Yeah.
I guess when I was young, I would talk on the telephone to girlfriends, you know, and you wanted to have that acceptance. So now, unfortunately, with digital media, you know, you've Instagram and Facebook and whatever. I mean, young people, you know, look for that validation by having hundreds or thousands of friends, which is not real, you know. And it also can be used against them. So, look, we all want to have that kind of acceptance. The other thing is organized religion is fading, which is a fact. So what is going to be the moral compass for young people going forward? And young people don't want to listen to their parents. That's good. Yeah. It's a natural rebellious thing. I think like every young person should reject the previous generation just to keep everything honest, you know. But nature is a perfect way of teaching, I believe, you know, a moral lesson by looking at how nature works, like symbiosis, you know, the fact that one, you know, animal helps another animal, and that there's relationships, there's connection. It's beautiful because all young people, and children especially, love to look at animals, you know. We're hardwired to do that. It's so cute. It touches our heart. But when you understand the relationship and their behavior, and you see how they all help each other, and the last thing you're going to find in the animal or plant world is greed and selfishness and individuality. It doesn't work. Nothing lives alone in nature. It's all about community. It's all about connection.
So we often oppose technology and nature, but thanks to cameras and screen, you're able to deliver your beautiful messages about nature. So do you embrace new technologies, or do you stay picky about the different technologies?
No, I love new technology. I think that it might be the only answer to bring the beauty of nature into places where and communities that are never going to have access to it. I mean, the reality we heard today is more than half the population on this planet lives in a city. How many people can afford to go to Machu Picchu or to Tahiti or to the Galapagos Islands? I mean, the reality today, let's be honest, you have to, I think, be wealthy. You have to have time. You have to be healthy, because traveling is difficult, even if you have money and time, right? And so we got to bring these beautiful places, because these beautiful places that are sacred are also disappearing because of climate change and commercial tourism. So these sacred places are a spiritual path, I believe, to how to live a beautiful life. And we need to make that available to everybody. And it's a way, I think, to turn on young people, because I know, for example, in Los Angeles, where I live, you know, in some communities in the inner city, that are marginalized communities, they've never gone to the beach. The beach is only 10 miles away,
Okay.
you know, because they're not turned on by that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can watch it on their phone and see a beautiful time-lapse flower or a slow motion shot of a wave crash, if that can turn them on to where they will eventually take the initiative and go to the beach or go to a park, stare at a tree, whatever it takes, I'm all for it.
And let the nature, as you say, do what it does the best, like seduce you.
Yep. Well, seduction is really good.
Yeah.
So we're hardwired, I think, to fall in love. You have children?
Yes, 2.
Okay.
8 to 10, yeah.
And do you love them more than anything else?
Of course, yeah.
Did anybody teach you how to do that?
No.
It's in your soul. It's in your DNA. So that's why, you know, as I said in my talk, every puppy is cute.
Yeah.
Every kitten is cute.
I've got a puppy too, yeah.
Every baby cute.
Yeah, true.
And they're cute because, you know, we want life to go forward. Life wants us to nurture babies and kittens and puppies to grow up so that life can go forward. And we're hardwired to do that. And how does it do it? Beauty.
Yeah.
It's a secret weapon. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Because everything in the world wears out or dies. You know, even mountains wear out. The sun will wear out. So what a beautiful thing that life invented reproduction to overcome, you know, things wearing out and perpetual energy. I mean, you're just a tiny, tiny chain, right, in the link of ancestry called the human species. And human species have only been here for a fraction of a second in terms of life on Earth. But it's a continuation of life. Life is a force of energy.
After mushrooms and gratitude, what's going to be your next topic?
Yeah.
What can you talk about?
I'm going to do a film about wonder and awe, because I think wonder is the intersection between art and science. Mm-hmm. And when you feel wonder, you become present. And when you become present, you appreciate and actually engenders gratitude for what you're observing. So I think the scientist and the artist, they're both trying to explain what is the world, what is the universe. And scientists talk about like maybe how it works, and the artist says why it works.
Beautiful. Let's ask you the question I'm asking to every guest for this podcast. It's the great harvest of the day. If something could be done like easily, something simple or easy, and would make the world a better place, what would it be for you, Louie?
Wow. Well, given that it's called harvest, I would say plant a tomato plant. Grow some food in your garden. And if you don't have a garden, you can just grow a tomato in a pot on your porch. Because what you're going to do is it'll connect you to the fact that, plant life is the only solar collector that can take light energy and turn it into food. You teach your children where your food comes from. It doesn't come from the grocery store, Mm-hmm. And you're also helping the pollinators, by having plants that the bees can pollinate, because without the pollinators, no plants, no food, no life. It's something easy that everybody can do. I say grow your own food, learn where your food comes from, and have a spiritual, emotional connection to the food that you eat. That'll make you healthy and strong.
Thank you very much, Louie.
My pleasure to talk to you, Rose.